Hey, cool kids. Welcome into the Cool Grandpa podcast. Thank you for stopping by this week and listening to this fun episode. I have on Stefanie Shackelford from Odyssey Travel. And Stephanie is going to be on talking to us about why travel agencies still have value, especially for grandparents who may be planning either a skip gen, excursion, or even just trying to get the whole family together for a cruise or a very memorable trip. Maybe it's around a certain anniversary. Maybe it's just because you want to get the gang together and have a great time someplace. You are going to enjoy listening to Stephanie and her stories about being a travel agent. Now, before we get started, I do want to remind you a great way to support this podcast is to go to the link that's going to be in the show notes for Buy Me a Coffee. That's a great way that you can even just contribute $5 to help offset the cost of this podcast. Another great way to support the show is be sure to go over to my store on the website. I've got t-shirts, I've got polo shirts like the one I have on. I've got ball caps, I've got mugs, I've got all sorts of things that really say, hey, I'm a cool grandpa, or I know a cool grandpa. So whatever it is, go on over to the store, check it out, and help support the program. So, hey, without further ado, let's jump into this conversation with Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome into the Cool Grandpa podcast. I'm excited to have you on to talk about travel. It's one of my favorite things to do in this world.
Well, thank you, Greg. Thanks for having me. I love travel too. That's why I've been doing it for over 40 years.
For me, traveling it does a couple of things for us, right? It opens us up to other cultures, other way that people go about their daily lives. And then two, it just, to me, it helps reinforce that a lot of us have the same experiences. They might be slightly different, but we all have the same experiences, and we all want to have families, have relationships, have meaning, develop work. And so I think travel is one of the best ways that you can really experience and learn so much about other people and other cultures.
Most definitely. And for me, I just like to see how other people live. I like to see where they live, what they eat, what they do in their daily lives. And it also makes you appreciate what you have at home and, not take things for granted. So that's what I love about it. Just those different experiences.
Yeah, those things are certainly fun. I'd love for you to just introduce yourself and give us an idea of how you got into the travel industry and how you started Odyssey.
Well, I'm Stefanie Shackelford. I'm the founder of Odyssey Travel. I went to travel school in 1983, back when they had actual travel schools, and worked for several different types of agencies, group agencies, the airlines, variety of things. And then I started my own company in 1994. So I have dabbled in group, leisure, corporate, airline, customs immigration. I think the only thing I haven't done is worked for a cruise line or worked for a hotel, but pretty much everything else in this business I've done. And I love it. I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. And because this is the Cool Grandpa podcast, we're talking to people of a certain age, and so I know, based on the years that you were talking about, that means that you were involved in the old Sabre programs, right?
Yes, I actually learned on both Sabre and Apollo. Those were the only two computers that were there. Otherwise, we hand wrote our airline tickets. We looked up our fares in a book and opened up a brochure and was able to sell right from that brochure. And so, very different than what we do today.
Oh, absolutely. I remember my dad used to travel a lot for work, and he would have multiple books from airlines, whether it was American or Delta or whatever, that had all their flights listed out for days and weeks.
Exactly. And when we were writing tickets, we had a book that was the size of a telephone book. And we had to look up the city you're leaving from, flip through to see the other city, get your ruler and scroll down. There's the base fare. Here's the taxes. Here's the other taxes. and don't make a mistake because it was carbon copied. And then you'd have to write a void on it and start over on a new one. And the person in accounting was not happy if you had multiple mistakes on your tickets. So, but yes,
Oh,
we did everything from books and by hand.
oh, sure. And, this is a great opportunity for us to talk and learn about how when you were starting out in the travel industry, a lot of us had AAA or whatever that would mark out your routes and all these things. And there was a lot of value that was added there. But then as technology really crept into that industry, it was pretty disruptive. And can you talk a little bit about that? Not only just because I'm fascinated with it, but also because I think it'll lead us into the value that Odyssey provides for clients today.
Well, a lot, as we know, has changed in this industry from handwriting tickets to now using a computer. And when the internet came about, it gave people another way to try to look for things and get knowledge. But what people forget is people in the industry that have been in this business as long as I have, or even 20 years, we've gone to school. We take a lot of continuing educations. We have been to a lot of places. I have clients that when they travel somewhere, they come back and tell me about this hotel, about this train experience. And I'm still of the paper age. So I take notes, I write things down, and I share those experiences and those insights with my clients. So you can't always get that online. You don't necessarily know that this hotel is under construction or the pool is not available because it's being resurfaced or this restaurant is closed and that was the whole reason you wanted to go there. We have those things at our fingertips. We have sales reps that come in. We can look it up online. We get daily news articles that come to us specifically in the industry. So we have a lot of background information about the different products, hotels, cruise lines that we sell. And we
Okay.
try to share all that with our clients. That's important.
No, that makes sense because in one way, what the technology, if I'm understanding correctly, can give you is like I said in my example, it can give you flights from A to B, the time of the flights, even the cost of the flight. But if you're trying to put together an experience for your family, an experience for yourself, it doesn't necessarily give you those insights to what you were saying. Hey, this area is under construction. Maybe it's not the best time of year to go and visit. At least some of those things that really can't show up in an online application.
Absolutely. And we do this every day, all day. Good agents like myself, my colleagues, this is this is our sole focus. So I don't also sell shoes or, lunch at this restaurant. My whole life, my day-to-day life is selling travel. So I've either been there, I've sent someone there, I have a colleague that has sent someone there, and I have a lot of resources at my fingertips to find that information much faster than you can and know a little bit more. I can tell you, yes, it would be great to stay next to the train station, but you're going to hear all the train horns all night long. And there's this, or yeah, it's super crowded and you can't get to this particular tourist attraction because we've done it or we've sent people and they've reported back to us and our sales reps. It's all things that the internet doesn't tell you when you just put in, I want this hotel in Jamaica. It's like, great, here's the hotel in Jamaica. But you can't ask it questions and it give you answers back. At least not yet.
No, that makes sense. And maybe while we're at this, you can walk me through if I was coming to you and I'm starting the discussion and say, "Hey, Stephanie, I want to take my wife and our grandkids, and we want to go down and uh, I'm trying to pick out a fun city. Oh, we want to go to Buenos Aires.
Okay.
Is how would you go about trying to figure out what it is exactly about going to Buenos Aires that we want to do?
So, if I don't know you, like I really don't know you all that well, Greg, so I have a series of questions that I'm going to ask you because I need to understand more about you and your family. What do you like? What types of hotels do you stay in? What have you done in the past as far as vacations? How do you like to fly? Oh, you don't fly, you only take it by boat? Okay, well, I need to know that. Do you like trains? You don't like trains. You want to drive? You don't want to drive. I have probably 20 or more questions to find out more about you, find out more about the experience that you are looking to gain. Also, your budget. That's a big thing. You know, people think, oh, well, I saw this online and it was, $1.99. Okay, but it's not exactly $1.99 because you don't get your seat assignment, you don't get a bag, you don't get a meal. So I have to know a little bit more about you. If you're one of my regular clients, I have built a profile on you because I have done 4, 5, 6, 10 trips or more. I know what you're looking for, and you can just send me an email and say, yep, we want to go to Argentina. Okay, I pretty much know what you like. You only stay at Hilton's or you only stay at the Holiday Inn. You like to Uber. So once I know about you and your family and what you want to accomplish, then I can easily set an outline of an itinerary and say, okay, Greg, after our conversation, I think this is what you're looking for based on the things that you want to do, what fits into your budget. Here's an outline. Absolutely nothing is set in stone when we are in a conversation. I'm going to send you an idea. It's pretty much laid out: depart on this day, this flight, transfers, the whole 9 yards. And then you and your family will review it. And maybe the wife is thinking, I want to stay at the Four Seasons. And you're saying, we're going to do Motel 6, honey, and we're going to see 10 countries. She's like, I don't think so, Greg. We're going to stay somewhere else. So once you guys have looked it over and come to a consensus, you can send me an email or give me a call and say, we like this, A, B, C, D, J, K, H. We don't like this. Can we take this out? Is there something else we can do? Then I'm going to remove what you don't like, put in what you do like. We'll look at it one more time until we get it right. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times. And then after that, I've got a better sense of what you're trying to do. And when you're traveling with children or grandchildren, age is a big factor. Are they still the Legoland kids or are they Universal Studios? So again, getting more detail. And then once we've narrowed narrowed down your itinerary, then we talk about the money. Here's what it's going to cost. This is what the deposit requirements are, final payment, cancellation. Everything is laid out. So before we move forward what you're getting yourself into.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and to me, that just screams out the value that your organization and other travel agencies as well have versus just me going online to Delta, booking a flight, booking a hotel, and then having a rough idea of what I'm going to do in that city. You actually kind of guide us through, and then you have the experience to say, hey, be sure you check out this small museum that maybe I hadn't heard about before.
There's that, and also, like right now with all the things happening in Italy, you're going to have to pay to go to the Trevi Fountain. They're changing the way that you can see the Vatican, the way you see the Colosseum. Well, we know that, but I've worked with some guides there, gosh, almost 30 years. I can call up, Guido and say, hey, I've got these clients. We need to skip the line. We need to get them in. They're traveling with a 5-year-old. Can you help me out? And they're like, yeah, of course. We work with you all the time. I've got that person who's going to take you, get you at the front of the line, get you through, because your 5-year-old has about 2.2 seconds of time span, and we've got to move quickly. So get you through, get you into all the attractions, and get you back in your car and back to the hotel for nap time.
Oh, that's awesome. One question I've got for you too is with Generation X and baby boomers, what are some of the trends now in travel of like our generational preferences that maybe have shifted over the last 15, 20 years?
I would say even more since COVID. Um, for multi gen, skip gen, those folks are really seeing the value in family bonding, family time. Life is too short, and wanting to make sure that the experiences they're sharing with not only their kids, but their grandkids or great grandkids, that they're able to do it together. And whether that's skipping the generation and just doing grandkids or great grandkids and grandparents, or the whole family, or encompassing aunts, uncles, and everything. And some of the other, baby boomers and things, they're all looking for those unique, different experiences. People don't necessarily just want to do Rome, Florence, Venice. I love Rome, Florence, Venice, but what about the Amalfi Coast? What about skipping it and going to Saint Tropez? Finding those unique little gems that are less traveled, less busy, that they want that experience. They want that first experience. They want to have to go behind the scenes to see the Black Madonna in Montserrat. Perfect. You want to skip the line at Sagrada Familia? Absolutely. We can help you. So finding things that are different, or it's gosh, just yeah, I think it's really about the different experiences that people want to have.
That makes a lot of sense. I know in talking with other grandparents and people in this space, a lot of this skip gen or skip generation travel seems to be becoming more and more popular
Mhm.
with people where, mom and dad may not have the time off of work. Grandma and grandpa may be retired, or maybe
Right.
they have more vacation time. And so they're actually grabbing the kids, the
Hmm.
grandkids, and then running off and having some of these experiences.
Yeah. And they want to see different things. And sometimes what I find with some of my clients is they want to share what they did when they were kids. So, national parks, things like that, which, even my daughter, she's like, oh, the park. Ugh. But, we grew up, we drove from California to Canada and went to the park there. And it was a big deal. So there's a lot of those grandparent to grandchild experiences that they want to share with things that they did when they were kids and destinations that they experienced when they were kids and sharing those moments.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And are you seeing a trend away from the big amusement parks or entertainment parks to, like you said, the national parks, the cities, the museums, those sorts of things?
I think it depends on who's taking the kids. For the parents, like when my daughter's 22, but when she was younger, I went to Legoland, I went to Disneyland, I went to Universal, I went to Knott's Berry. All those, Disney theme parks and experiences like that, because it gave the kids something really to hold their attention and tire them out when they're really little. But as kids are getting older, like my daughter, she loves to go visit my mom. They don't do those kinds of little kid things anymore. My daughter's too old for that at 22. But my mom takes her to the museum. They go have at one of my mom's, she lives in Texas, and one of the libraries there, they had a tea and book reading. Okay, my daughter would never have gone to have a cup of tea and read a book with me, but she went with my mom, and it was the best thing that ever happened. It was so fun. And mom, there were all these, older ladies, and some of them were wearing hats, and it's a different experience. It opens my daughter's eyes to different things, but it's something my mom is so proud that, oh, my granddaughter got to do this with me, or crafting things, making things. Those experiences between grandparents and grandkids. The national parks is huge, huge experience right now. Everybody is taking their grandkids and great grandkids on the train. They're safe. They can't lose them. And it's, maybe it's just a short 5 day and they sleep on the train. Well, that's a whole different experience. Or for those that have a little maybe a little bit more money that want to fly somewhere and do a driving trip in another state. That's big too, where they go to, maybe 2 or 3 different cities, stay in hotels, do the museums, try the different food, look at the different attractions. So I think it's kind of a maybe 70-30, 70% grandparents choosing, 30% parents going, please just put, put them on the roller coaster.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. The so when it comes to all the different regions, and your agency certainly covers the globe, what are some of the differences in types of travel packages based on regions or countries or even cities that you see? And I know that's a huge question there, but what are some of those differences that you see based on those areas?
Well, there's really I find there's two types of travelers. There's cruisers, whether that's ocean, river, or expedition, and then there's land dwellers. So those are the ones that will take an escorted tour, go to an all inclusive resort, fly and drive and experience. So it depends on the person, it depends on the people. But the cruisers are looking to maybe take a little bit further trip with the grandkids or the great grandkids because, again, they feel it's fairly safe putting the kid on a boat. They can't get off and get lost. But they're also going to be able to experience each of the destinations that the ship stops at. And if the children are older, grandchildren are older, you have the expedition ships. And so Antarctica, Arctic Circle, things like that. Parents don't really have the time to take, unless they've got about 2 weeks vacation. So that is more of a skip gen type of vacation. But other ones where you see grandparents, parents, children, aunts, uncles, cousins, maybe it's at an all inclusive resort. That could be in Mexico, it could be in the Caribbean, because that everything is there. They don't have to find a place to eat. They can just go to one place, everyone can fly in, and again, they're in a safe environment where the kids aren't going to run off and be lost. Then you have families who will take a little bit longer trip. Maybe they will go to Europe and hit 1 or 2 countries. Maybe they do it by train or maybe they fly in between. But more so, I think if it's just a grandparent and a grandchild, I see more train trips, more cruise travel, and maybe more all inclusive travel. And any destination, it really depends on the budget of the client and the experience that they're looking to share with their grandchildren.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Do you find any, or have the request in this is so in my perspective, it used to be, I think, because I had my grandparents were of World War II generation and things, that as I was younger, sometimes there was more of a draw to go to Normandy or go to different places. Do you find that there's still this question or the requests for you, like, hey, I want to take them to Belgium and I want to go to these different places, or even the Pacific as well, that's tied into maybe some of the American history?
I personally don't see much of that. I know some of my colleagues do book some of that, but we are finding that those grandparents may not be as mobile, and a lot of them, depending on their age, are not here anymore. So if the children don't have the connection or want to share that experience, I'm not seeing, and I don't, just people in my office, I don't see those types of bookings come through. I know they are because when I go to training seminars, they talk about it, but don't have any of those clients personally.
Okay. Okay. And that just may be one of those shifts that we've seen. And to your point, the further we move away from some of these events, the less impact or the connection that family members have to those things, to go,
Hmm.
hey, let's go see where Uncle so and so stormed the beaches or did whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, if somebody's looking to engage with a travel agency, yours or perhaps somebody else, what are some of the things that they should be looking for and in engaging with you that that you will provide them?
Well, I carry a license. So, my colleagues that I work with, we are all licensed and bonded here in the state of California. So, I think that's important when people find somebody online that they don't know. They should be asking those questions. I carry insurance. My colleagues that I work with also carry insurance. So, we are protected and our clients are protected. We have seller of travel. So, again, that's a protection for the client. Um, and I don't know. I mean, I think asking about expertise, asking if someone's been there or have we sold that destination. I mean, even though I've been in this business for 40 years, I've never sold Micronesia. It's not that I can't find it, but I've never had a client ask about it. So if you popped up, Greg, and said you want to go to Micronesia, I would I know where to get the information, but I've never sent anyone there. So I think we, as in the industry as a whole, we have a lot of training and we seem to focus on destinations that are popular, destinations we sell a lot of, so we can keep our training up and have more insight and knowledge in those areas. And some places just kind of fall by the wayside because they're not that popular. But because we've been in the business a long time, we know where to get the information, and it wouldn't be difficult as for you to go searching, and the places that we look, we know that that is a reputable company. They're bonded, they're licensed, and they've been around a long time. It's not a pop-up on the internet that you don't have any clue if they're valid.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Are there any other red flags that, like, I should look for if I'm looking to engage a travel agency that maybe you haven't already brought up?
I would look and see if they have a website. Give them a call. Don't just email. We had an incident where we were looking for someone who had a fishing trip in the Amazon. And I just came back from the Amazon last year. And we were looking around. They had a phone number. They said they were in Dallas, Texas. They had a website, but it looked kind of fishy. So we sent an email, didn't get a response, sent an email, got a response. Oh, yeah, but you have to pay. If anyone's asking you for money right away, that's a red flag. And then sending a link, that can be a red flag. And we did more digging and we called a couple of our other vendors, and it was a sham company. But, we kind of knew it just looked a little fishy. They hadn't done a lot of posts on their website in a long time. I think you have to really be cautious when you're looking at some of the companies online because anyone can throw up a website, put a link, make sure that you get copies of all the invoices, everything is spelled out for you before you put any money down because there's nothing that can't hold for 24 hours except an airline ticket.
Okay.
Nobody should be asking you for money right away.
That makes sense. And then also too, along those lines, what are the pros and cons of travel insurance and how does that work when we're engaging with a travel agency?
I think, especially post COVID, but just in general, travel insurance is the best thing next to sliced bread. And I will just I will ask a question and then I'm going to give you an example. Let's say, Greg, you book a trip with me and it's $5,000 per person. So, my question to you when I say, would you like travel insurance? And you say, I don't need it. I'll say, okay, will you sleep well tonight if you lost $5,000 per person? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, you should take the insurance because you will only lose the cost of the insurance, but you will be refunded that $5,000. So even if you paid $150 or whatever, $200, you're going to get $5,000 back. So you'll sleep well tonight as the way you answered the question. So many things can happen that are unforeseen. And here's my example. I have a client. She's been a client a long time. She has 3 adult children. She takes each one on a trip every year. Her and her oldest son, 35 years old, 21-day trip through France on a cruise. And I get a phone call. I hear crying. I'm like, what happened? My son got shingles. He's stuck in Cologne, Germany. She's still on the ship sailing away, and she's in tears and she's scared and, all these things. Luckily, they had insurance because the lost portion of the cruise, the lost excursions, his hospital stay, the $1,000 Uber ride to get him from Cologne at the hospital to where the ship had made its next stop, and he was in the hospital for 3 days, was all covered by the insurance. Had he not had insurance, he would have had to pay all of that out of pocket.
Wow.
So, again, I will not push you to buy insurance. This is a personal thing. It's like home insurance or car insurance. It's a personal thing. Not everybody has life insurance, and that's okay. But if you have ailing parents or you have children, you don't know. A child can get sick, they can fall down, many things can happen. Same with your parent. A family member or sibling passes away. If you're okay to lose the money you paid, don't spend the money on the insurance. If you're going to worry about it or think about it, it's worth the extra.
Okay, that makes sense. I think a little bit there's, as we talked about with the disruptions and everything that's come across, I think initially I felt that, and this is a long time ago, that travel insurance felt like a little bit of a scam, a little bit of hey, because I think we were hearing like sometimes they don't pay. It's a big to do, but it sounds like that part of the travel experience has come a long ways.
It has. And I think you have to, one of the benefits of using an agency is we know we know the insurance companies, we know which ones, what they cover, and ask the question, hey, does it cover, I've been at the doctor and I've got ABC situation going on. Will I be covered with a pre-existing condition? Well, some insurance you have to purchase within 7 days of making your deposit. You didn't see that online when you looked it up. So it's asking us the question. And I also say, I am not a licensed insurance person. I do represent 3 different insurance companies. I recommend this one, but here's the toll-free number. Ask them any additional questions of their underwriter because I can only look at it from the broad picture and say, absolutely, you should take this. It's going to cost this. It covers all of these things. But you may have one specific question because, I don't know, you had a hangnail and now you might have your toe amputated. I don't know. Ask them because they're going to be able to tell you, yes, that is covered. No, that is not covered. I recommend taking a third party insurance over taking maybe the travel vendor's insurance, like the cruise line, because if they go bankrupt, they're the ones that hold their insurance. You aren't covered if they go bankrupt. You take a third party insurance, you are covered. Most of the time, you are covered.
Okay.
So, those kinds of things, I think they have changed, but it's just asking that question.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. Stephanie, tell me, how would we go through, what's the process of, I don't know, lack of a better word, onboarding a client? I find you through the website or the phone number, and I call you up and say I want a trip. And what's the process that we go through in defining the trip and all of that?
So if you call me, I will ask if you would like to have a 30-minute phone call with me or if you would prefer to do it via email. Everybody's different. And then I would go into asking the questions, or I would email you the questions that I have so I could get to know you. Maybe you're a referral, then I can also ask, your best friend, Jim, hey, what can you tell me about Greg? Does he really like to just go, fishing, or is he really into aeronautics and that kind of a thing? So I would have a little bit of outside information. Once we've established a way that we're going to communicate, then I go with the questions and then figure out your budget. And then we'll move to the next step of me putting together an outline. And then we'll just go back and forth until we've noodled it down to what you want. And then I say, okay, this is it. Here's what the deposit requirement is. Here's the final payment date. Here's the cancellation penalty. We talk about insurance. And then I get all of your personal information, passport information, name as it reads on your ID, date of birth, billing information. If you have mileage cards, hotel cards, all of that I will get from you and anyone that you're traveling with. And we build that whole profile. And if you're continuing to be my client, which I hope you do because you love my service, then I've built that profile and I don't have to ask you any of those questions the next time except where do you want to go? But it's a little bit of a process. And if someone is not really asking a lot of questions, maybe they don't have time for you as a new client, or it's not really a piece of business that they want. So it's just like when you ask for any service and they give you a really, really high price, you know that they really don't want your business. So, and sometimes you and I might not be a good fit. You might not like my style. Um, I might not like you as a client. So having a little bit of a conversation will help make sure that we can work well together. My goal is just to make your travel experience the best so that A, you come back to me, and B, you refer clients to me.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And then what's the typical lead time for, let's say, an experience versus, hey, I want to take a river cruise through Europe in August?
That's a tough one. Right now, the first quarter of this year is what we call wave season. It's when all of the cruise lines, Ocean, River, and Expedition, put out their best deals. Not that they don't have other deals during the year, but this is when best inclusions, lowest fares. So I would say if you want to take a cruise, now is the time to be booking Ocean, River, or Expedition this month, next month, and the first 2 weeks of March. After that, they will have specials, but maybe not as good as what you're going to see right now. For any other experience, the best, well, I recommend 6 months advance notice. I can turn a trip around in 48 hours if you have the money to pay, because if you're leaving next month, there's no option for you to make payments. I'm going to give you the itinerary, you're going to approve it, and I need your credit card, and you're going to get charged today because we're so close in. With the 6 month, 9 month, I mean, I've booked into 2027 and 2028 already. So sometimes people will say, okay, well, there's 12 of us, and the grandparents don't want to fork out $80,000 for everybody. They can make a deposit, and then I do some small groups, and people will say, well, can I just have, can I just call you and make a payment? Sure, call me. Final payment is due on this day. So as long as after the deposit is made and the date the final payment is made, those two are the most important dates. If you want to pay $500 a month, or $300 a week, or 1,000, whatever, you can call me or you can send me an email and say, Stephanie, please charge card ending in 1234 for $600. Then I have it in writing from you. I'm going to charge it and send you a receipt. But if it's a close in trip, it's usually, if it's within 30 days, it's pay in full.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And then, Stephanie, as we start to wrap this up, is there anything around Odyssey, anything around travel that you would like to bring up that maybe I haven't asked you?
Well, just so people know, I mean, as I say, I've been in this industry 40 plus years, and I feel very fortunate that I don't do a lot of advertising. I have clients that I'm doing their children and I'm booking their grandchildren's trips. So I have a lot of history with the people that I've been working with, and I feel very lucky. And my agents are the same. We're a small team, but we're a tight knit team and we work really well together. So, I think for clients that have never used a travel agency before or haven't used one in many years, we are still here. Come check us out. Yes, you can book your Viking cruise online, but we might be able to get you more amenities, lower deposit, included gratuities. Give us a try because for our agency, we don't charge fees. So there's no cost for you to pick up the phone or send me an email and say, I'm looking at this. Can you do this or better? And I'll be honest, if I look at it and I can, I will do it. If I can't, I'll say, no, you've got the best deal. But give us a shot because there are a lot of travel agents out there. And, you know, this is our livelihood, just like the plumber or the electrician. This is what we do for a living. And I'm
No,
happy to help anybody. I love my job.
that's awesome. Stephanie, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, whether they're listening to this or watching it? How can they reach out and find you?
Well, I am in Northern California, so they can always call me 707-343-7112. You can find me on the web, which is www.team-odyssey.com. So TEAM-ODYSSEY.com. Or you can email me, and it's my initials, S like Stephanie, J like Joy, S like Shackelford, at team-odyssey.com.
Okay, and I'll be sure to put all of that information into the show notes as well, so people can look that up if they got both hands on the wheel, which you should do.
Yes.
We'll have this information into the show notes. So
Wonderful.
Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on the Cool Grandpa podcast, educating us about travel agencies and about how we can really, use these opportunities to build connections with our grandchildren.
Absolutely, Greg. Anytime, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
I really enjoyed having Stephanie on as a guest. It was great hearing about how travel agents still provide a ton of value for clients, not just in booking a flight or booking a cruise, but really being able to put an experience together. Having somebody that's knowledgeable about the region, the city that you want to visit, that you want to take your family to, and have a memorable experience is something that really, mm, I think, is worth it to find those people that are knowledgeable and really use them and their expertise to make sure you have the best possible experience. As a quick reminder, check out the links to the show notes. I've got links in there for Buy Me a Coffee. Great way to support the program. Also, be sure to check out the merchandise page. That's got some fun gear in there for grandfathers. And until next time, remember to stay cool.